Are the Saudis getting hot and bothered? America's shale boom is pushing U.S. oil output to the highest level in 2 decades. But Saudi's oil minister doesn't want to hear about it. Just listen to what Mr. Ali Al Naimi's response at Friday's OPEC meeting. He says, quote, "Why are you all excited about all of a sudden about shale? You know why? Because you like to chit-chat. You are an agent of disturbance. Leave us alone and leave all these issues. We had enough of shale oil and talks of shale. Please talk about anything else." And then he switched from speaking in English to speaking in Arabic. Chris Faulkner is the CEO of Breitling Energy, a company that specializes in discovering and extracting oil and gas here in the U.S. What do you think of Minister Naimi's response? Now, to be fair, I've been to many an OPEC meeting, and I've been abused by the minister myself. He does like to get out there and sort of beat the reporters that are in front of him. But even for him, I mean, that was very testy and bothered. Do you think they're threatened?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the Middle East all last week, and I can tell you that, you know, at some level they're worried. They're worried that what happened between 2005 and 2009 with Qatari natural gas no longer being needed to import into the States, they're afraid it's going to happen again with oil. But more importantly, we're producing 7.5 million barrels of oil a day. They're at 10.5. We're on the road here quickly to surpass them as the biggest oil producer in the world. That's a feather that they want to keep in their cap. And I think in some way, you know, he's jealous of our 20% increase in production over the last year. And Saudi themselves has to rely on oil to pay their budget and pay for most of what they spend in that country. And I think they're finding themselves less relevant, and OPEC in general having less control over oil that they've become to enjoy the last, 3-4 decades.
So let me take the other side of the debate for a moment. I mean, we are far from being totally energy independent, and even if that happened, there is demand for crude oil all around the world. I mean, Asia is the biggest market. They're not discovering new production as readily as we are. Isn't there still a huge appetite for their oil?
There's a huge appetite. I think the folks that involved in OPEC that should be concerned are Angola and Nigeria, those countries, and Algeria that have light, sweet crude like what we're producing here in the States. There's still a need for heavy crude, so I'm not saying by no means are they becoming irrelevant themselves. I think what's happening is that this world oil puzzle, if you will, is starting to shift, and America is getting more power in the world oil game, and I think that that's what concerns him, and it's all because of fracking. That's why he doesn't want to discuss fracking. They don't utilize it there. They don't need it. They have conventional resources, but I think in some way they are threatened, and I think that's becoming more and more apparent.
Yeah, that's true. And in the past, I know when Minister Naimi has been asked about alternative sources of energy, whether it was battery-powered cars or solar power or wind energy, he always sort of laughed it off and was like, good luck with that. Let me know how that works out for you guys. This time around, his response, I say from experience, is very different. I mean, he does seem like this is more of a real and substantial threat. And there are a lot of economies in the Middle East that have not developed a plan B. Even, the Saudis have tried, but come up with another industry that could support their economy in the same way, right? This would be a real crisis for a lot of countries.
Well, yeah, they don't have one, and most of these countries over there don't have another plan. They have an economy built on one commodity, oil and or natural gas or both, and that's a big concern from them. Saudi outspends themselves. They have to have $85 oil just to meet their budgetary needs, so they can't turn on production and force the price of oil down to $60, for example, which they've threatened, or someone has threatened to do, saying we could stop the shale boom if we had cheap oil. The reality is they can't afford cheap oil. They have to pay their own bills. And so you look at these countries over there, and they're looking at saying, hey, the United States, Nigeria being a great example,
Chris, let me stop you before we run out of time.
And their oil's not needed.
Hang on, is that really true? I mean, because what is their wellhead price? Isn't it only like $19 or something to get it to the surface in Saudi Arabia? What price do you think they could drive it down to try and flood the market? Because that's the only option.
Well, the cost is not the price that it costs to deliver the oil out of the ground or to find it. The real cost is what they need for their budgets to pay for all the bills of that country. And if you look at that budget that they have today, they need about $84 a barrel to pay their bills. So they're not going to go down to $60 or $45. They can't meet their own obligations. So they're kind of stuck in a catch-22. At $85 oil, we can make money over here all day long at it.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great point. Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really interesting stuff.
Thanks, Melissa.